Randall, and welcome to tonight's edition of the Regional News. We start off in Guyana's neighboring South American country. Suriname's President Desi Bouterse has been sentenced to 20 years in prison over the execution of 15 political opponents in 1982. More than 1,500 supporters welcomed Suriname's president as he returned Sunday to the South American country just days after a court convicted him in the 1982 killings of 15 political opponents. Bouterse dismissed the 20-year prison sentence that he received on Friday as he greeted supporters following an official trip to China. "There is a lot of love in my party," he said during a press conference held at a nature resort close to the airport, adding that the decision by the panel of 3 judges was unexpected. And I quote, "It was clear that the verdict was political," end of quote. Bouterse declined further comment, saying he was advised by his lawyer to not talk about the ruling. He only said that he would meet with his advisors and members of parliament on the strategy to follow, adding that he is focused on the May 2020 general elections. He was found guilty of planning and ordering the extrajudicial execution of 15 political prisoners. The president was previously denied the allegations. He claimed the victims, who included lawyers, union leaders, and journalists, were shot while trying to escape a colonial-era fortress in Paramaribo, the capital of the South American country. The court verdict followed a trial that began in 2007 and faced multiple setbacks, including efforts by Bouterse to halt the legal proceedings and push through an amnesty law that was ruled unconstitutional. Bouterse led Suriname during the 1980s as head of a military government and de facto leader. He took office as president in 2010 following a democratic election and was elected for another term in 2015. The court ruled that the president had overseen an operation which included soldiers under his command kidnapping 16 government critics, including lawyers, journalists, and professors. Only one of the detainees, a union leader, survived the killings and was able to testify against Bouterse. After playing an active role in a 1980 coup d'etat against Prime Minister Henk Aaron, Bouterse was promoted to head of the army and made de facto leader of Suriname until 1987. In 2012, the National Assembly passed an amnesty law granting Bouterse immunity, which was later invalidated by a court ruling. In 1999, Bouterse was convicted in absentia for drug trafficking by a court in the Netherlands, allegations he denies. Bouterse has been scheduled to visit Cuba on Monday but postponed the trip. In news out of Trinidad, there have been over 552 reported cases of sexual offenses for the year, with women making up the majority of the cases. Of these reported cases, 92 have been rape. Speaking at a public education and information fair at Citygate, Port of Spain, which commemorated the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, Minister of State in the Office of the Prime Minister, Ayanna Webster Roy, revealed the figures citing official police statistics. But the issue of gender-based violence against women is not isolated to Trinidad and Tobago only, as she also cited World Health Organization statistics which show that 1 in 3 women around the world would experience some form of gender-based violence in her lifetime. To solve this, she added, a culture of justice and a multi-pronged system for victims of rape and violence must be developed. She also noted that a national policy on gender and development was created to fight gender disparities in the country. According to Webster Roy, it has a thematic focus on human security and gender-based violence. She believes that empowering men to become allies in the campaign to combat violence against women and girls is critical for promoting the transformation and shift in socio-cultural perception of women and girls. Now turning our attention to Barbados. 3 neighbors are dead and 2 others suffered injuries on Sunday in a cutlass attack at Walker's St. Andrews. Police said they discovered the bodies of Cecile Webb, Lennox Brown, and Terry Small when they arrived in the rural community around 8:40. Valentine Small, who sustained cuts to the back of his hand, was treated and discharged. 70-year-old Cuthbert Mayers remains at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. He was wounded in his left wrist and shoulder. The weapon is believed to have been a cutlass. And finally, in Jamaica, The police in Manchester are on the search for the killers of a popular businessman who was fatally shot in the parish Saturday morning. The businessman, 39-year-old Wayne Nash, a funeral home director, was fatally shot and his licensed firearm stolen by gunmen in the usually quiet community of Mile Gully in the parish's northeast end. Police reports are that shortly after 1 a.m., Nash was at one of his business establishments, a bar, when armed men entered and proceeded to rob patrons. It is further reported that during the robbery, Nash was shot and his licensed firearm stolen. He was taken to the hospital and was pronounced dead on arrival. That's it for Regional News this evening. Back to you, Handel.